Going through Reddit, YouTube, and different Discord servers, you'll find a lot of different types of builds that claim to be the best. But during the duration of my research for this video and countless games I've played, I went through over 150 perks that survivors have, and honestly, it's hard to pin down 4 exact perks that would have the best combination for the highest rate of success. But what I came up with is the #1 build that will completely frustrate any killer you go against, that will waste their time and give your team more time to finish generators and escape through the fog. I call this build the Wiggle Effect. The first perk I have for this build is the foundation of the build that gives it its biggest threat, and that perk is a Kate Denson perk called Boil Over. This perk not only obscures the killer's ability to see hook ores within 16 meters, you also gain 33% of current wiggle progress when the killer drops from great heights. But the best part about this perk is that your struggling effects on the killer are increased by a massive 80%. So not only are you making hooks harder for the killer to see, but you're also forcing them to bump into things and get stuck by walls around many loops where a lot of hooks are. This perk gives you a lot higher of a chance to wiggle free off the killer's shoulder, and if you have an awesome teammate that will take a hit for you, you're guaranteed to get freed from the killer and save a hook stain. The second perk in this build is a perk that is owned by Ashy Slashy, the carrier of the boomstick, Ash Williams. This perk is one of my favorites in the game. It's called Flip Flop. This is such a great perk, especially against killers that like to slug, because when they put you in the dying state, 50% of your recovery progression is converted into wiggle progression when you are picked up by the killer, up to a maximum of 50% total wiggle progression. Now this perk is great, especially if you're around another player when the killer downs you. The killer will most likely end up chasing that other survivor instead of just picking you up. Why? Well, let's be honest, most killers are greedy and want that extra hit or a down. This situation will end up giving you more time to recover and more wiggle progression in your wiggle bar. Now on to the third perk of the build. It offers an extra benefit of escaping and survival while adding perfect synergy to the rest of the build. It is one that is owned by the unrelenting and persistent Detective Tap, and that perk is Tenacity. This perk allows for the survivor to be able to create distance by crawling away faster and allowing Flip Flop to gain more recovery progress, so Flip Flop can create more wiggle progression. Again, this perk also works really well against slugging killers that like to be greedy, chasing other survivors. This will allow the survivor to get away from the area where they were down much faster, giving them a better chance of getting away from the killer, making the killer lose the spot where they downed that survivor. Now for the last perk of the build. It was created for a survivor that is used to being in dire situations where he's in complete peril. This perk creates a 5th survivor in a trial, and when all seems lost, this perk is there to pick you up. The perk I'm talking about is Unbreakable. It's owned by a Vietnam War veteran, Bill Overbeck. Its main benefit is being able to pick yourself up from the dying state 1 time per trial. But what I'm focused on about this perk is that it has a tremendous benefit for the wiggle build effect, is the fact that it increases dying recovery speed by 35%. So combine this with Flip Flop's conversion of recovery progress into wiggle progression and Tenacity's ability to crawl away faster, giving more time to gain recovery progress, all contributes to the foundation of the build that helps the survivor get off the killer's shoulder with Boil Over. Now that we all know the perks in the wiggle effect build, I want to share some of the situations where this build is most effective. First off, when the killer downs you and slugs you, get as far away as possible from the killer, and most importantly, any hook. This will give you the best chance of wiggling off. As I've said earlier in the video, it's always great when a teammate helps you get in the killer's way, giving more time to help the build pay off. The next situation is knowing your maps and using this build to waste the killer's time. The #1 goal in Dead by Daylight is to escape the trial, but to do that, you need to waste the killer's time as long as you can without getting hooked. So by knowing your maps and knowing good spots on them, you can utilize your build perfectly, so you give your teammates more time to work on generators. As you can see here, I give the killer the first hit and lure him into a spot that I know very well he can't hook me from. But the killer is so focused on me after the first time I escape that he tries it again, and I know he's not going to be able to hook me, so I know I'm at no risk of being hooked, thus giving my team time to work on more gens. But I wiggle free both times, to the point he realizes he's wasted too much time on me and gives up. Now the last situation that I want to show you here is, when you are put into the dying state, it's a very good idea to get as close as you can to areas that you can have objects around you. This will help Boil Over give you more of an advantage. I always find when you're closer to objects like a bush, a tree, a pole, or even a house, your wiggling will be more effective because it will cause killers to bump into the object. This will create more time to get the wiggle bar up and wiggle free from the killer's grip on you. This build has given me a lot of success getting freed from the killer. Do you think that it is one that you could find beneficial as well? Also, let me know down in the comments if you have another wiggle build that has worked for you. I'd love to try it out. If you enjoyed this video on the wiggle effect, then be sure to check out this video I made that's all about the best survivor builds in Dead by Daylight. That will definitely increase your survival rate. Thanks for watching.